Hello, class. Our video is on the dynamics of family violence. There are many different forms of violence. These include physical abuse, emotional psychological abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, and neglect. Patterns of abuse are often learned and repeated in families. However, cultures vary as to what is deemed violent and abusive and what is appropriate. Here are some facts about domestic violence. 90% of violence occurs outside of marriage, and violence increases when victims don't have much control. For example, children are often victims because they do not always have the power to defend themselves. In addition, violence increases when social institutions are reluctant to intervene. People use violence toward family members when the cost of being violent does not outweigh the rewards. Another cost of violence could be potentially that the victim will hit back. It could lead to the arrest and/or imprisonment of the abuser, loss of status, dissolution of the family, or the end of the relationship. Structural properties include intimacy, privacy, and inequality. Within the cycle of violence, there are three main phases. The first phase is the tension building phase. This is when the abuser becomes more and more angry and more agitated, which leads to the violence phase, when the actual abuse takes place. Following this phase is the honeymoon phase, where the abuser then shows an outpouring of love to the victim. Unfortunately, this honeymoon phase is known to reinforce the cycle to repeat. And each time the cycle is repeated, it goes faster, meaning the time in between the cycles is shortened, where it could start at 6 months, it would happen, and then every 3 months, the violence would happen, and then 1 month, then a week, and then every day, and so forth. And each time the cycle gets repeated, it becomes more severe. A victim in a violent relationship would weigh the cost of the violence with the perceived benefits. Possible benefits could include, from their perspective, of financial stability, companionship, and keeping the family together, and also feelings of love. Within the models of family violence, we learn about many aspects. For instance, within regards to gender, we learn that violence by males tends to be more common and more extreme, and that power provides a central motive in partner violence. Stress may raise the likelihood of violence, but is not the cause. There are many different exchange propositions. Some of them include the success proposition. When the action is rewarded, it is more likely to be performed. The stimulus proposition is when the stimulus and the action is rewarded, it is more likely that the same stimuli will produce the same action. The value proposition is that the more likely the reward is valued, the more likely the behavior repeats. The deprivation proposition is that the more the reward is received, the less valuable it becomes. And the aggression proposition is that when the expected reward or punishment is not received, the more angry and more likely to perform aggressive behavior. Here we have a video clip from the movie Matilda. In this video, you see a father verbally abusing his daughter.
20 years ago, we could turn the numbers back by hand. But here, take my hat. That's the ingenuity of the American businessman. Two-directional drill. You run it backwards, the numbers go down. Stop. Me?
Yeah, Daddy, you're a crook.
What?
This is illegal.
Yeah, keep drilling. You make money? You have a job?
No, the cars. I just want the cars, Dad.
Listen, you little wiseacre. I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. and there's nothing you can do about it.
And so, unfortunately, in this movie, there are many scenes where the father is verbally abusing his daughter. And to end our presentation, we would like to share with you the number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline and different websites where you can report or help a victim.